So which side are you leaning on more? Is it your business strategy or is it your belief system? So let's start with the belief system. So your belief system, you're full of faith, right? You're a believer in business, you're full of faith, you know God called you to business. And so now you're just like, you have such this big high hope and expectation, and you're believing that God is just going to do it for you, right? You're not looking at your numbers, you're not looking at your analytics, you're not assessing what's working, what's not working. You're just showing up in full belief, putting yourself out there and just expecting like this business explosion, which is great. It's great to have faith, it's necessary. However, you still, as a business owner, it is your due diligence to look at your numbers, right? Know your numbers, understand your numbers. What are your conversion rates? How is your sales page converting? How is your conversion event converting, right? When you're reaching out to prospects, maybe in emails, DMs, wherever, like what are your conversion rates there? It's important to understand your numbers so that you know how to scale. You're able to scale your business strategically. And so business strategy is very important. And so if you're just full of belief and you're just believing God for this 100K business or 100K months or $1 million business, but you're not looking at your numbers, you're not building strategically, then you're way off on one side. And then the other extreme is where you're so on hold on your business strategy that you are losing faith, like you have no peace because your belief system, your faith is off. If your analytics, if your numbers and your quotas, if you're not meeting it, you're frustrated, you're irritable. And so it's almost like this forced striving hustle mentality that really just leads to burnout. You don't have the presence of the Lord in your business, in your demeanor, in your essence when you're showing up. It's like you're striving, you're forcing, you're pushing, and that is not sustainable either. So it's one extreme to the next. And what I want to highlight to you is the importance, what the Lord revealed to me was the importance of having the balance of both. As a believer in business, you need the balance of both. You can't just be so gun-holed on just business strategy or gun-holed on just belief system with no strategy that you're burning out or you're stalling, right? And so it really requires our integration of both. And so I pose this question to you: which side are you leaning on more? Are you leaning more on your business strategy side or your belief system side? Are you full of faith with no action, or are you taking all this action with no faith? Right? And so it's important to break down both. And this is where I come in as a business coach, because I help my clients to not only build out the business strategy, the build out their structure, right? But I also come alongside and help you with your beliefs to sustain that business structure that you're praying for. And so this is what sets me apart as a coach and makes me unique, because of how I help you steward your belief system as you're growing, so that when you're growing and expanding, your nervous system feels safe with the business that you're building. As a registered nurse turned business coach, I'm just honored to be able to do this work, because I know firsthand what it is to, and I share my story inside of my Call to Coach workshop, but I'll share it here as well. Like, I know what it's like I was able to resign and transition into my business full time in less than 9 months of starting my business. And so my business took off. It was doing amazing. And so I was just like, all right, bet we're transitioning. And I was so excited. But there was a moment after transitioning that my business stalled. Why? Because I entered into a fight flight response. Like, my nervous system was irregulated because now I was in survival mode. I no longer had the security of my 2 week paycheck, right? My 6 figure career. And so I like self-sabotage my business unbeknownst to me. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping women to not only build their coaching businesses, but also have the nervous system, a regulated nervous system, and the belief system to support this business structure, because I've been to both extremes. And so why my approach is different is because I understand that business structure plus business, but plus belief system equals business breakthrough. And I'm going to break down exactly what that looks like. So when I help my clients to build out their business structure, this is so essentially I have two approaches, right? So I combine two, so I have two courses and two curriculums that I combined into one, into my signature offer. And so I have my Call to Coach program, which is my curriculum for Call to Coach, which is the business structure. And I also have my Wired for Wealth, because as you're building out your business, you want to make sure that you are building out the business system and the neural pathways necessary to sustain that business, and that your body is comfortable with expansion, with wealth expansion, because otherwise you'll self sabotage. And I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I do this. And so inside of my Resign, well, formerly known as Business by Belief, now called Resign, inside of my signature program, I combine both components. And this is why my clients see exceptional growth. So I share this testimony all the time with my client who was a coach for 2 years. And just after 2 weeks of working together, she booked her first client. She was a certified coach for 2 years. And just after 2 weeks of working with me, signed her first client. And this is the work. This is why it's important to understand that, yes, you need business structure, but you also need the belief system to sustain it. And this is what's going to lead to business breakthrough. All right. And so now let's jump into the business structure component. So I often talk about the importance of three things in your business. It's your offer, your marketing, and sales. No, but any business in the world needs these three things. You need the offer, you need marketing, and you need sales. And so you need a compelling offer. This is the very first step inside of the Call to Coach program, where I help you in the first module. We're working on your offer, right? Within the first week, you're going to have your signature framework. And we're going to place that signature framework inside of a premium offer. And so we work on your offer. That's the very first thing. The second thing that we do is is converting marketing, right? And so the second component of your business that you really need is marketing. Marketing is the heartbeat of your business. If no one knows about this beautiful offer that you created, your signature framework, like, no one's going to buy if they don't know about it. And so marketing is truly the heartbeat of your business. And so, but there's a strategic way to market that doesn't feel pushy, right? You're marketing, and I've created a simplified story selling formula. It's a belief shifting formula to be able to help you to create content that converts, converting marketing. Okay. And so that's the second module. And then in the third module, within by week 3, now you're building out your simplified sales funnel. We do not overcomplicate anything. Simplicity scales and complexity sales. Complexity fails. And so if you want to see consistent sales in your business, it requires simplicity. You don't need all the bells and whistles. You don't need to have your clients jumping through hoops. You don't need a 10-step funnel. You don't need a huge brand shoot, photo shoot, logo, all these things. You don't need it. All those things will come out over time, right? It'll come over time. But in the very first beginning phases of your business, that's not what you need. For consistent sales, you need to have a compelling offer, converting marketing, inside of a simplified sales funnel. You want to show up top of funnel, whatever platform you feel comfortable on, whatever platform God is calling you on, whatever platform you feel most aligned to. You don't want to stretch yourself thin. Keep it very simple. Have one premium platform, one primary platform. And then you show up with one message to one person. And then you literally lead everyone to one offer, one premium offer. And this is the simplified sales funnel. I call it the eagle effect, but it's just a simple funnel. The power of one. One primary platform, one signature message to one person. You're only speaking to one person, right? You're not speaking to the whole world. One specific person solving one specific problem. You're leading them to your premium offer, and you're keeping it simple. That's it. And so this is the simplified sales funnel that's going to lead to consistent sales. Because if you're showing up and you're marketing and you're speaking to everyone, you're speaking to no one. And so it's so important to know your client like the back of your hand. And the way you're able to do that, the way I help you to do that is with my treasure trial framework. I teach you how to um, pretty much talk to your client, because honestly, you were your client. And I break this all down inside of the very first module with my treasure trial framework. Okay. And so that is the business structure side of it. So now we're going to jump into the belief system, right? The belief system that's required to help you to really see breakthrough in your business.